Hopeton.
Oh, there you are. Hey, Maya.
Yeah, we hadn't seen you.
Keep your friends close, but keep the Hub certification agency even closer.
That's right.
And reporting, we got to stay in good standing with Maya Ingram.
Hello, Maya. Emily, any sight of Dr. Butler? He's here.
I'm here. I mean, I've been
Dr. Butler. I want to make sure.
here for an hour. I mean, what's the deal?
You're always early, I know that.
Hello, Hopeton.
Dr. Butler, how are you?
I'm not good. The Saints are not doing good. The Tigers are not doing good, so I'm not doing too well.
Yeah, well, Jameis Winston, when he got hurt, I knew that there was going to be a struggle there. So, and we lost to Atlanta, which is our worst enemy.
Dirty Birds.
Oh, yeah. No, I was telling someone they didn't know that growing up as a Saints fan in New Orleans, Atlanta was the team we wanted to beat the most.
I went to the first game ever.
When they returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown?
Tulane Stadium. I was a sophomore in college. We drove up from Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that had to be exciting.
Beautiful uniforms.
Jorge, we're up to 27 participants this evening. And for those who are presenting tonight, if you plan to use a presentation, I have enabled screen sharing for you.
Okay, are we ready to go, Emily?
Ready to
Well,
go.
good afternoon, everybody, and especially welcome to our class participants, our live stream viewers, and of course, our marquee presenters. This is the session 3 where we're featuring state and university, the state of Texas and university hub programs primarily. We do have the DBE, of course, with TxDOT. And we're very grateful for the sponsorship that Travis County has provided us, and also for IC Squared hosting and sponsoring the RTP for hubs. And I wanted to make sure last time we were just showing the logos for our companies, but wanted to give you an idea of who's here. We've got a diverse group, and hopefully they'll have some questions for you. The one thing that I wanted to tell our presenters is this, because we have a number of you, we're going to wait and have a question and answer session until after everybody is done. I've also told Emily if we can have our participants give us their questions through the chat room. If there's time at the end, then we'll recognize some of you all. And if I can impose on our presenters, if we have questions and we're not able to get to the question and answer session because of the time constraints, if you don't mind answering the questions for us, we'll forward them to you. Of course, the consideration that you always give any questions, but thank you for that in advance. Okay, and of course, I want to recognize the RTP program staff. You've seeing Emily here, who is our production manager, and she's also our project manager. We have a student, Evan Pan, and of course our two Rfps, our principal investigators, Dr. James Jarrett, and of course Professor John Sibley Butler, whom I will recognize right now for a few words. Dr.
Thank
Butler.
you very much. Thank you very much. Of course, again, we're delighted to have everybody here. You know, it also grows and becomes a much bigger city. There are so many enterprises that's moving here, and there will be so many opportunities. And we know that the companies here are already good companies. They've done great things. Some have been around a long time. And I just remind you that as we go through the program, think about the networking. That's important to make sure you get the speakers' email addresses, and the network is important. Let them know that you met them at the University of Texas at Austin. So as the case with the UT Austin, we always want to do great things, and doing great thing in business is what the Institute is about. And I want to thank the IC Square Institute and the McComb School of Business for really getting together and engaging in this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. Of course, I want to remind everybody that the RTP for Hubs is a two-funnel approach here to training. The first one, of course, is making everybody aware of the public contracting process. It's fairly intricate. We want to simplify it. We heard from our local agencies last week, our state and university presenters this week, and hopefully you'll get a good macro approach to what's involved here. And then in 2022, we're going to have an advanced business training for some of the businesses that are here, and then others, depending on the funding, you know, we can expand that program. And again, this is made possible because the IC Squared has always believed in training and wealth creation, and they've hosted a number of incubators and accelerators. More recently, they pilot tested an accelerator in West Texas, very successful. And of course, last week, as I've just mentioned, we had good presentations. I just want to focus in on our homework as assignment for this coming Thursday. The homework assignment is due Wednesday, November 10th at 4:30 tomorrow. And of course, it's related to the business model canvas and the value proposition statement. Even if you don't come, please submit something so that then we can have some reference point in order to provide some good advice. We're going to have a number of business advisors, including our esteemed Professor Butler, who for a long time has been the faculty person for the Texas Venture Labs. So you're going to gain by attending, but you're also going to gain if you submit some written work. And of course, we're now down to our marquee group. Last week, I told you that in my mind, what really described our hub coordinators is that they're passionate, they're proud and proficient. And I think, with all due respect to the policymakers, that they're the backbone of the Texas Hub program, both locally and statewide. And of course, I have to add that they have functioned at their best because of another P, the pandemic. And they're here to tell you that they're still in business and they want to make you successful. Having said that, the first person whom I want to introduce is Ms. Maya Ingram. She's the program manager for the Statewide Hub program with the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. Ms. Ingram assumed her current role in December 2019. She has worked as a hub coordinator for the Texas Land Office and gained experience in procurement and outreach issues at the Texas Facilities Commission. Maya has private sector experience as well. She has consulted with city, county, and state, city, county, and private sector clients. She attended the University of Texas at Austin and has completed several continuing education and certification programs, including procurement. Maya, thank you so much for being here, and the screen is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Where's my share screen? I still have trouble figuring this all out.
Okay, we can see
Okay.
it. So
You can see it now?
yeah.
Great. Welcome, everybody, and thank you very much for having me here today. Today, we're going to go over a little bit about the Statewide Hub program. And I've got a lot of my hub coordinators here to help me. So you guys help me out at any point in this presentation. We're going to do a little bit of overview on the Statewide Hub program. We'll talk about the Hub certification. We're going to go over some of the resources that are available on the Hub and Comptroller web pages. And then we're going to save the questions to the end. So I'm Maya Ingram. I'm the manager of the Statewide Hub program at the Comptroller of Public Accounts. The Statewide Hub program is established in Texas Government Code Section 2161 and authorizes the Comptroller of Public Accounts to administer the program. We are also charged with establishing the rules of the program, which can be found in the Texas Administrative Code. And it's that whole long section, and just to kind of put it in short, 34 TAC 20 identifies the rules for the program. The 2009 disparity study was the last disparity study the program completed. That was the last update we did. And that disparity study identifies the statewide hub goals that are used with the state entities. I like to use this slide right here as an overview of what the statewide hub program is. The Comptroller of Public Accounts, as I said before, administers the program. We are part of the statewide procurement division at the Comptroller's office. And the statewide hub program is the program that administers the program throughout the state. So if you look at the red umbrella there, that would be statewide hub. We have 4 main responsibilities. We do hub certification, small businesses. We do hub compliance of those small businesses. We do education and outreach to agencies, to assist the agencies and to hub vendors. And we do reporting. We compile expenditure and contract reporting information from all of the state agencies and universities and compile that into one large semi-annual and annual report. The blue umbrellas you see on the slide represent the agency and the university internal hub programs. Statewide Hub does not participate in the actual procurements. However, we do provide training to the small businesses and hubs, get them certified so that they can competitively bid on those state procurements that the agencies and the universities have available. 34 TAC 20, Rule 281 is the policy and purpose. This identifies our policy, and we encourage the use of hubs in the state's procurements through gender neutral means. The purpose of the hub program is to promote the full and equal business opportunities of the small businesses certified as hubs in the state procurement and contracting process. The rules describe only the minimum steps that are required to be taken in the state's procurement process to attain those goals. This slide gives you a listing of the goals. They are based on the purchasing category. As you see here, heavy construction. This category is for infrastructure projects. So this is mostly TxDOT, maybe some of the other agencies that do, maybe the Water Development Board, that they do infrastructure type projects. Building construction would be for building maintenance. It could be new, it could be renovation. They're all maintenance related projects and building projects. Special trade includes construction contracts. Generally, those have community college or trade school education. They could be also someone who is trained in the trade. Professional services. These are generally architects and professional degrees, architects, engineers. They have a professional educational degree, and they also have their special trainings involved and certifications. And then the last is the commodities. These are the general goods that the state purchases. Hub certification. The requirements for Hub certification are identify the disparate groups in the state's procurement. Asian American, Black American, Hispanic American, Native American, American woman, and service disabled veterans with at least a 20% service disability qualify to apply for Hub certification. The business qualifications require that those owners have at least 51% owner of the business. They are primarily based in Texas. The owners must be US citizens, except for the service disabled veterans. The owners must be residents of the state of Texas, and they must prove that residency for at least 1 year. Owners must maintain and show the active participation and control of the day-to-day operations and management of the business. We also certify the hubs based on the small business size standards. Hub certification is free. The application process is now online. Vendors can create their hub record, enter the application process, and upload all of their supporting documents into that system. It is a free certification when it is certified through CPA's Statewide Hub, and it is a 4-year certification. Once the vendors are certified as hub vendors, they receive a free listing in the hub directory. We ask that all hub vendors go into their hub directory profile and complete the profile with the Nigp codes that best describe their business. Recertification begins about 4 months prior to the expiration, and our system will send emails to the vendors requesting them to begin that process. Anytime there's any assistance needed in the application process, we ask that you just call the Statewide Hub program, and we can provide that for free. As I said a minute ago, we've transitioned, or we have an online certification system. So we are no longer accepting paper applications. It is no longer a manual process. It is all done in a system, a certification system that allows for vendors to enter their application information, their business information, and upload all of the supporting documents required for the analyst to review those applications. Once those are completed, the vendors are able to go into the online system and print their hub certificate. The application is submitted and we will review it. It will, right now, because of the load that we have, we are in a 6 to 8 week process. So while the system is supposed to work faster, we are also receiving a whole lot of applications. And so the process right now is from 6 to 8 weeks. All of our compliance is completed in the online system. All of our audits, all of our reviews, all of our communications, they are completed within the online system. We will resume on-site audits soon. We have not started our travel yet, and so we will resume those probably at the beginning of the year. So this slide right here takes you to the Statewide Hub program page. We talked about the hub goals. You see the hub goals listed there. There's a disparity study that takes you to information about our disparity study. There's also a red button right in the middle of that page that basically takes you to the link, to the online system link. On the right-hand side, you see the related links. These are links that are available to anyone who is interested in using these for calendar of events, which has postings of other hub-related events. Most are free. Some of them may have a charge, but they're all related to the education and outreach and networking opportunities that we provide for the hubs. Many entities outside of the statewide hub program, agencies, small business development centers, procurement technical assistance centers, and other trade and business organizations also post events and networking opportunities on the calendar of events. There's a CMBL link. There's a link to apply for CMBL. We'll go over the CMBL in just a minute, so I'm not going to get into that in detail. Once you get into the CMBL, you can upload the profile and update it with the NIGP codes and the contact information for that vendor. We have certification agreements with 12 organizations. They are minority business and women organizations that certify the small minority businesses, and they also accept those applications and review them to make sure that those vendors meet hub requirements. And if they do, they are able to provide them an extra free hub certification on our behalf. Bid opportunities. We have a link to the bid opportunities. State agencies are required to post procurements over $25,000 on the electronic state business daily. We'll go over that in just a little bit, but that's a link to go into that search site to find out what bids are available. We have hub and business resources. This link will take you to a hub and resource page. Generally, it lists, it has a list of all of our hub coordinators throughout the state. Once you click on that link, an Excel sheet will drop down on the left corner of the screen. I don't recommend that you download it and save it because it changes often. So use that hub coordinator list to contact some of those hub coordinators. We have a link to hub reports. We have the last 3 years of annual, semi-annual reports listed on that page. And you can also find copies of some of our forms. The NIGP codes, we talked about those NIGP codes for profiles. It's very important that vendors use those NIGP codes for hub directory profiles and for CMBL profiles. State purchasers are required to use the centralized master bidders list. That's where they find the vendors and they search for those vendors by NIGP codes. And then, of course, toward the end of this, we have the government code and the administrative code that the statewide program operates by. So this link here on the left-hand side is a link to our certification system. Some might call it the Texas Hub system, the statewide hub system, and others just call it the hub certification system. We have transferred all of the hub records that we had previously before we started the online program, which began in June, at the end of June. So all of our records have transferred into this system. Anyone who has a business certification with us or some of the other certification organizations that are part of this online system have records in there too. So if anyone has a business that's been certified, I suggest that you go into that system, look and see if there's a record there and use that record to start a new application. It's important to do that before you start filling out a brand new application, because if you fill out the application and then the system determines that you have another record, it will not let you save all of the work that you've done on the application process. So let us know when you're going to do that and we can walk you through that. The system allows us to do all of our audits. Applications can be signed on the system. Our audits can be completed on the system. It documents the process, the application and the certification and the audit process from beginning to end. So that's important for us to know when the application started, when it was received, when it was certified, when the expiration will happen, and if there were any audits, when those audits were completed, and if there were any findings. So our certification is now completely online. Here's what the certification page looks like. As you see here, you have a logon. That's really a logon for administrative type people. These links toward the bottom, and I'm going to go to the next page because it's going to show you more. Here's a link for a brand new application, or if you want to renew your certification. And here's a link for information to the statewide hub page. It takes you to the statewide hub page. The system training that's available here is a general training. It is not specific to the Hub certification requirements. Those trainings usually come from our program. The outreach that's listed on this system is also not an outreach module that we use. We use the calendar of events. However, we do use this outreach system to notify vendors that are listed in this system of potential events and invitations and notifications of general information and important information. So then the last box on the right-hand side is the account access. This is the one that I suggest everybody goes to first to look and see if you have a hub record or a small business record in this system before you start a new process. If you do, you click on the forget password. It'll send you an email to the email listed on the hub record and provide you with a new password to sign in. So again, going over the hub certification process, applications are completed online, uploading, supporting documents are completed in the hub record online. Once the application is complete, the applicant will hit submit, and the hub record then comes to our office. We get notified that there's an application. We are able to review those applications before we actually, quote, receive the file. And we do that to make sure that all of the information is included in those applications and that the application is complete so that it doesn't delay further when we get into the immediate evaluation of that record. Once certified vendors are certified, they have a profile and they can complete they can print their hub certificates online through the system. All of our communications are done through the system, so we have letter templates that are already there. And they also, our analysts and auditors have the ability to write their own. The compliance desk is for the audits, so that's completely online. Our online visits will resume. Our on-site visits will resume as soon as our travel resumes, which is, we're expecting that to be in January. And again, certifications are free and they are 4-year certifications. This is what the Hub Comptroller's webpage looks like. We're going to go into some of the resources that are available through the Comptroller's webpage. And if you see the red arrow on the top, we have purchasing that's circled. This is the tab that will take you into the resources that we're going to talk about. But when you go to this tab, I ask that you not click on it, but you hover your cursor over it so you can have a drop down that looks like this. These vendor resources here are very important and often used. And the other one that's important over on the procurement resources is the NIGP commodity code book. So we're going to go over the centralized master bidders list. We'll go over the hub page a little bit more. We'll talk about the electronic state business daily, and we'll talk about the NIGP codes. And then if we have enough time, we will go into the hub webpage, but I don't know that we're going to get there. So where am I? Okay, so centralized master bidders list. The centralized master bidders list is considered the state's official vendor list. However, any vendor listed, whether it's small, large, any vendor wanting to do business with the state of Texas, being registered on the centralized master bidders list does not mean it is endorsed by any state agency. It basically means that the business is registering themselves to do business with the state of Texas. The CMBL has a $70 annual fee, and it also includes the hub directory list. Purchasers will use the CMBL list to create procurement notification lists. Historically underutilized business page. We have the free small business certification known as the hub certification. There's a list of coordinators for agencies and universities throughout the state. It includes some purchasers, some procurement officials. So use that list to contact them when you're ready, when you've done your business development, you're ready to talk to the agencies and universities. Use that list and use those hub coordinators as your liaison into that agency so that you understand their process and you understand how you can best get in to meet those people. We also have a link on the Hub page for the Hub reports. As I said before, Statewide Hub compiles all of the state agency expenditure and contract data information and compiles it into one large statewide expenditure report. We do that semi-annually for the first 6 months of the fiscal year and annually for the 12 months of the whole fiscal year. The Nigp codes, the National Institute of Governmental Purchasing Codes. These are the commodity codes that the state of Texas uses and the purchasers use to identify their solicitations and to search for the vendors and notify them of those solicitations. The electronic state business daily is where they post the solicitations that are valued over $25,000. Universities are not required to use this system. However, many of them still do because it's a free service for them and it allows them the ability to reach the general public. On the Comptroller's webpage, one of the resources we talk about is the Centralized Master Bidders List. So as we talked about it a little ago, the CMBL, there's an active vendor list. There's also a Hub directory. Oh, I'm going to go to the next page. Well, let me just show you the links. Again, just like on the Hub page, we have links on related links on the right-hand side. They take you to the profile updates. They take you to search the CMBL, and you can find your Nigp codes there as well. So this is what a search page on the CMBL looks like. As you see here, you can a purchaser or Hub coordinators or even private sector can look for vendors on this system. They can use a search for Centralized Master Bidders List. These are registered vendors on the CMBL. The Hub only is considered the Hub directory list. So this is only the certified hubs that are actively certified through the state of Texas. And then you have a list for hubs on the CMBL. Because purchasers are required to use the CMBL, there's a link for them to use the CMBL when they're trying to find the hubs. So they can use either the Hub directory or the CMBL. It really just depends on the practices of that purchaser. And then there's also an all vendors list for anyone wanting to do a search by Nigp codes for vendors certified, non-certified, even expired off the CMBL. They're also available to find here. So this section right here, the single vendor search, is for anyone who is looking for a single vendor. They can search by name. They can search by their vendor ID number. They have a drop down that allows them to identify if they want to use a search by a word or if they want to make it an exact search. And then the bottom little box right here, if they are inactive hubs or inactive vendors on the CMBL and you want to search for somebody, seeing if you can find them, you would click on that and that would include them in the search. If it's a search for a multiple vendor, which is what the purchasers will generally do, they will have the Nigp code by class and item number. 3 codes identifies the class. That's a general description. And the last 2 numbers is the item classification, the item description, which makes it a more specific and specific within the general category. And they can always search by the highway districts. If a certain region throughout the state, they can also include that in their search. So these are again, more resources, our Hub reports. This is our page on the Statewide Hub program that takes you to the historically underutilized business program. And as you see down here at the bottom, we only have our semi-annual report posted right now. Our annual report is due next week, and that will be posted on this website. You also have a total of 3 years on this page. So if you need to do some business development and some research on expenditures, which is probably a longer training session, then you can do that by using the former reports, and they're available as well.
Maya,
Yes.
I want to mention that we're near on time.
Okay, great. So I don't need to go over all of these because we've already talked about the certification process. Again, it's very important for Hub vendors and CMBL vendors. Please make sure that your profiles are complete and your NIGP codes match the products and services through the NIGP codes that your business provides. These are just a review of these resources and my contact information. Thank you.
Okay, that was a terrific, let me get myself on. That was a terrific presentation, Maya. And as I noted earlier, we're going to reserve the questions and answers until after. I noticed that we had a few in the chat room, so they're going to keep us busy. We've got a lot of marquee presenters like yourself on the program, so I'm going to get to the next one. Michael Bryant is the Director of the Civil Rights Division with the Texas Department of Transportation. Mr. Bryant has worked with the Department of Family and Protective Services as a procurement and contracts attorney and served as the agency's hub coordinator. He has worked with several other state agencies, including the governor's office. At TxDOT, he handles hub and DBE issues, comprehensive development agreements, intellectual property, and information technology. Mr. Bryant graduated from Morehouse College and the UT School of Law. Mr. Bryant, the screen is yours.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. I am Michael Bryant. I'm the Director of the Civil Rights Division. Our division is responsible for issues including American with Disabilities Act, Title VI, EEO, on-the-job training, and the subject of today's discussion are minority and women-owned business subcontracting programs. I should actually change that to just contracting programs because I want firms to be able to be primes and subs, whichever you desire. The programs that we primarily work with are the Hub program, as described by Maya. TxDOT as an agency has had its own Hub rules for a while. However, we operate generally under the rules that are approved by the Comptroller's office. And we're hoping to make sure that our rules are in alignment going forward. We also have our own small business enterprise program that was the result of a lawsuit about 22 years ago that specifically applies just to TxDOT. In that program, we are hoping to make some changes to as well to create a small business set-aside program to allow small businesses an entry point and the ability to compete against each other rather than competing against larger companies as you start out and trying to compete when other companies can spread out costs and other things. And so we're hoping for that to be an angle for small businesses to get a foothold working with TxDOT. The primary program that we work with is administered by the U.S. Department of Transportation, and that's the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. I won't go through all of the qualifications because they are very similar to the Hub program. The one significant difference is that the DBE program does not have a presumptive qualification for service disabled veterans. However, anybody, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of ability or veteran status, can apply based on socio or economic disadvantage. That does require proof, and there may be some discussions about that, but that's probably the one significant difference. The other thing is that the SBA size standards do not apply directly to the DBE program. Typically, the size standards for the DBE program are a little less than the SBA size standards. So it is possible to get certified as a DBE and eventually grow out of the DBE program, but you would still be eligible to be a hub for the purpose of the state program. The DBE program also does require site visits as part of the application process. We use the same company that the Comptroller is currently engaging with for the online certification to handle our certification, as well as some of the other documents, but we also do still receive documents in the mail. We would love to go completely online. We are in the process of moving from our Riverside campus just south of the river in Austin to a campus further south, closer to the airport. And so paper reduction has been a big focus for the last couple of years. And so we certainly encourage electronic applications, but do not prohibit paper applications. The other thing that we are currently doing with the DBE program, and where it's primarily significant, is that it applies to any projects or contracts that have a penny of federal funds attached to them. So whether it's $1, $1 million, or $1 billion, if that program has federal funds, we are going to use the DBE program and will not use the Hub program. As Maya detailed in her presentation, if you were to look at our Hub report that'll come out soon, you would see that most of our spending is in two large categories: the heavy construction as well as the professional services. Those two areas make up all of the design and construction of our projects, and also include some of the maintenance, but some of the maintenance is funded strictly with state dollars. We are really hoping that we will be able to work with local resource partners to assist DBEs. We receive funds from the Federal Highway Administration to provide supportive services for the DBEs. We have about 5,000 DBEs in the state of Texas. About 1,000 of those are interstate firms, which means that they receive their certification initially from another state before applying with Texas. But with those 5,000 DBEs that have offices and are based in Texas or have looked to do work in Texas, roughly 90% of those are based in our 5 largest districts. There are 25 districts across the state. The 5 largest are Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and Fort Worth. And with 90% of our DBEs being in those areas, we spend a lot of time in those areas doing outreach events and other things. But we are always looking to grow businesses, and there are certainly opportunities beyond those 5 districts. Again, 20 other districts with similar opportunities that occur in Austin that any business can apply for. Construction firms, of course, have a slightly more difficult issue to deal with in terms of moving equipment from location to location. But whether you do professional services, if you are also doing building construction, which would typically involve our Hub program and working with our support services division, you would be able to make an easier move across districts to try to tap into some of those contracts that are available. I have one slide, as I think it's the one that will, if I can get it to work. Give me just a sec. There we go. The purpose of this slide is to do one thing and one thing only. And that is to give you my contact information, but also for you to take out your phone and take a picture of the QR code that's above the BOSS acronym. For us, BOSS stands for Big Opportunity Start Small. Connecting with you with Texas is our current mission statement at TxDOT. And what we hope to do with the BOSS guide is to provide you with information across the different divisions that have contracting opportunities, whether it's construction, whether it's our aviation division or our public transportation division, our maintenance, our materials, or if it's general procurement for commodities or IT services. Most of our divisions are listed in the guide once you open it up. The guide will come with some updates soon for DBE certification purposes, as well as including some additional divisions that have wanted to be included to make sure that we are spreading the opportunities across more companies. With the guide, if you were to look at one of the divisions, what we have tried to do is detail what the division does generally, what kind of basic requirements such as pre-qualification for construction or administrative qualification for our professional services contracts is to detail those basic requirements, but also provide you with a brief note about what certifications are relevant. For instance, as I stated earlier, with our construction program, most often the DBE program is the only certification that's truly relevant. What happens is that many of our DBEs are Hub certified, and so the dollars that are spent with those firms are what shows up in our Hub report. But in our professional services, we have a significant amount of that program that is split between federal funds and state funds. And in that program, some of those contracts are wholly state funded. So the Hub certification will apply. Hub subcontracting plans will be required. But for those that have federal funds, the DBE program will apply, and we will have awards, commitments, utilization plans, and other similar documents that are slightly different. But we certainly have staff who's here and available to talk to you about that. We also include the basic contact information for each division so that you can reach out directly. But also on this slide, you have my contact information. The 4700 number is to our main line. So if you don't need to talk to me and you want to talk to somebody specifically about the Hub program at TxDOT, the DBE program at TxDOT, or something else, we can help get you connected to the right parts of the agency. Now, if I can figure out how to stop sharing, there we go. One of the things that we are looking to do, or that we are doing, is that the DBE certification program is handled by 6 agencies in Texas. While we're the largest of those agencies, because of the way that we are organized, we don't certify at TxDOT for the DBE program in those 5 large districts that I mentioned. We also don't certify in Corpus Christi. We have 5 partners, the City of Austin, the City of Houston, the North Central Texas Regional Certification Agency, which handles the Dallas-Fort Worth and surrounding areas, the South Central Texas Regional Certification Agency that handles San Antonio and surrounding areas, and then also the Corpus Christi Regional Transportation Authority. We work with what we call the TUCP to discuss certification issues, to try to make sure that we are assisting businesses that may be based in Houston, but may only want to work with TxDOT. And so we want to get those firms certified as quickly as possible, especially when there's a contract that may be in the balance because of that certification. One last thing about the DBE program, for those that aren't aware, is in addition to TxDOT, your DBE certification also helps you work with agencies that are funded by the Federal Transit Administration. So all of your transit agencies in Austin Capital Metro, and I believe the Austin Transit Partnership that will be working on the Project Connect rail line, and then the Federal Aviation Administration, so Austin Bergstrom International Airport. And there's also a secondary certification if you want to work and provide services at the airport, which is called the Airport Concessions DBE program. That gets very technical, but certainly happy to talk about it. From looking at the lookbook, I saw that there are a variety of IT firms, I think some underground utilities, and a bunch of other types of companies that were participants in this program. And I think there are opportunities for all of those services to be offered by TxDOT. Of the Hub program, 1 of every $3 that was spent in 2020 with the Hub program was spent by TxDOT. So if you do something, if you do anything, there's certainly an opportunity at TxDOT that is likely out there waiting for your company to bid. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Michael. Tremendous presentation for really in my mind, the agency, the state agency that gives out the most money in the country. You and Maya run the largest programs in the country. We're so proud to have you here. Thank you for taking time out to give us this succinct presentation. And our next presenter, of course, is from another large area, Cheryl A. Brown. Since June of 2007, Cheryl Brown has provided business advice at MiraCosta College through the San Diego and Imperial Valley Small Business Development Center program, the SBDC, as a subject matter expert, SME, in government contracting, federal, state, local, and multi-state. In her time with the SBDC, Mrs. Brown has worked with over 3,000 small businesses, resulting in over $700 million in governmental contracts awarded. In addition, Mrs. Brown owns a business with her husband and 4 sons. She has a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship and an MBA in organizational leadership. Cheryl, thank you so much for being with us. We're looking forward to your presentation. The screen is yours.
Wonderful. And you know what, thank you so much for inviting me to present this evening. Thank you to the sponsor, Travis County, the IC², and of course, the University of Texas at Austin, who reached out to me to be able to, share some words of wisdom and a little levity to the whole acronym world. So let's get started. I'm going to be doing a little bit of swapping around and switching around screens and things of that nature, trying to keep things a little bit fresh here. Because let's face it, when you're talking government contracting, it can kind of get a little overwhelming. There's a lot of acronyms and a lot of nuances and legal words, and so my role is really to kind of try to just break it down so that you can really sink your teeth into it. So our previous presenters talked about some of the state programs, some of the local agencies and local programs. I'm going to jump in a little bit off the wall here and talk a little bit about the federal market and some of the certifications that you could potentially pursue within the federal market. So first of all, let's get some things straight. Regardless of the certification that you are pursuing, it's a designation that's given to a company that may give you a competitive advantage over another firm. It doesn't guarantee you work. And here's the thing, you do not have to be certified in order to do business with any government agency. But there goes my dog. Sorry about that. But the certification can give you a competitive advantage over those firms that are not certified. Many of the agencies, whether it be federal, state, or local, have goals, initiatives, programs that are in place to encourage the use of those certified firms. Now, before you start jumping out and going to get these certifications, there are some very specific criteria when it comes to veteran, minority, or woman-owned certifications, including the DBE, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. And we'll kind of go across, address a little bit of those specific criteria. Here's the reality though. Before you start transferring ownership over to your spouse because they are a minority or because they are a woman or whatnot, know this: securing a certification under false pretenses, first of all, it's illegal and it can cost you money. Because what ends up happening is if you're awarded a contract in part because of that certification, and the number two person questions that certification, they're going to protest. And there's going to be an investigation issued. And if it is found that you received your certification under false pretenses, A, they're going to take the contract away. B, you're going to be decertified. C, you now have a non-performance, which is really, really bad. And then finally, any monies that were paid to you, you could be required to pay back. So before you jump on this bandwagon, just know that there are some rules and regulations and guidelines that you need to follow. And you certainly don't need to get certified to actually just start planting those seeds and planning the introductions. So the theory versus the reality, and that's kind of, my approach to advising and helping small businesses in this environment, is to really bring a practical approach. I didn't go to school to learn this stuff. I got involved with government contracting as a hobby in 2003. So I don't know who does that. I think I might be the only person. But basically, the knowledge that I have and I've gotten over the many years is really practical, like making the mistakes. And so, as I tell my kids all the time, do as I say, not as I do. There's a lot of misconceptions that are out there. One of those is that, I get certified, it's going to guarantee me work. No certification, no matter what it is going to guarantee you work. See, there's a component of the law that is above all contracting that states the agency must award to the firm that has the ability to perform, and that's based on your past performance and your pricing. If you don't have those two, no certification is going to help you. So kind of put that in a little bit in perspective. So if I've got two firms in front of me, both have very comparable past performance records, both have comparable pricing, both are administratively compliant, one is certified and one is not, then yes, I'm going to award to that certified firm. But if your pricing is all out of whack, if you have no past performance, if you are administratively non-compliant, like you didn't sign a form, it doesn't matter. The certification is not going to help you. It's not going to save you, if you will. Back in the day, in 2008, 2009, all you need to be certified as a woman-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned was to be majority owner. Well, many things have changed, and nowadays, in about 2011, 2012, legislation was updated that majority ownership is only a fraction of what is actually needed. You need to be able to demonstrate if it's a qualifying certification, which means woman, minority, veteran, that you are actually capable of operating the company on a regular basis on a day-to-day operations. And so, there's more to just getting certified, and there's more to winning contracts than being certified. So before you apply, I know that from reviewing the previous sessions, many of you are already certified, and so that is wonderful. But if there are other certifications you are looking at pursuing, before you apply, please, please, please make sure that that audience, that agency, that prime contractor actually procures your goods and services. So perfect example, or an example that I come across quite often, is construction management firms. Many construction management firms will go out and they'll get certified, and then they'll start targeting or marketing to their prime contractors. However, their prime contractors don't outsource that component. And so before you jump through these hoops, before you go through the pain and anguish of gathering all these documents, make sure that your audience recognizes those certifications. Another thing that you want to consider before you get certified is, can your firm meet that agency's or prime contractor's minimum requirements? And so again, if they don't buy your product or service, if you can't meet the minimum requirements, no certification is going to help you. And you also need to make sure that you're able to meet the eligibility criteria. So generally speaking, with all certifications, when it's just a small business certification, primarily the firm must be independently owned and operated, which means it cannot be owned by another company. It cannot be dominant in its field of activity. So you can't be like an Apple or a Dell. You cannot be a broker. And this is kind of a sticky one, especially for suppliers. And how you determine whether you're actually a broker or not is whether or not the manufacturer pays you a commission, or whether you take title of the product. And then the two other areas are really number of employees and gross revenues. Every certification has different criteria, has different levels, so you want to make sure that you fit those criteria. When there is a qualifier involved with the certification, so like woman-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, there are additional qualifiers that you need to meet. So first of all, the qualifier must hold the highest position within the company. If there is a license requirement to perform the services, that individual must be the license qualifier. They must have specific industry experience in order to run that particular company. And so I get a lot of pushback on this one. Like, well, I don't need to know how to make widgets to run a great widget making company. I get that, but you at least need to know enough to make you dangerous and be able to run the company. Outside employment is restricted. They don't, the question is whether or not, if you're working for full-time for another employer as a W-2, especially one that's within the same industry, they're going to question whether or not you're able to manage this on a day-to-day basis. Also, the qualifier must be the highest compensated within the company as far as officers, and must be able to demonstrate that they've invested the majority of the funds. So that's generally speaking for all certifications. And There are literally thousands. I mean, we have heard of the Hub, we've heard DBE, we've heard SBE, we've heard veteran, women-owned, minority-owned, race and gender neutral, SLBE, 8A, SOB. Did you catch it? All right, just making sure y'all are still with me and awake here. Sometimes I got to throw a little something in because let's face it, being on Zoom sometimes can get a little monotonous. So there are literally thousands of certifications, and you could spend hours upon hours and days and days and days filling out applications. Unless that certification is going to help you win a contract, there's no reason for you to even go down that road. So the federal agencies, there are over 400 agencies and departments that fall under the federal government. Last fiscal year, 2020, the federal government spent $665 billion to businesses. 25% of that went to small business. In the state of Texas, fiscal year 2020 received the most federal funds of all the other states, about $83 billion. Now, you may be certified with Department of Transportation with your DBE or state of Texas or Hub. Federal government doesn't care about any of it. See, the source of the funds is going to determine what certifications are going to be recognized. So as Michael had mentioned with TxDOT, if they get 1 penny of federal funds, then they're going to recognize the DBE. But if not, then they're going to recognize other certifications. So you really need to know where the funding is coming from so you can determine which certifications are going to be most advantageous to you. I wanted to include this just to give you an idea of what does the federal government spend their money on? Okay, an easier question is actually what don't they spend their money on? So a couple of things I did is for those of you who might have some unique services or products, I like to kind of pull some of the recent procurements that they've bought that are a little odd. Like, for example, goat herding services. I have a client who's a goat herder. He came to me about several years ago. He had one herd of goats. I don't even know what they call a herd, if it's called herding, but he had like one little group of goats. And one of the agencies, the federal agencies, was actually looking for alternative ways for weed abatement. So you know what they did? They hired him. Now he's billing the federal government like $3 million a year, and he is living a life. Role players, Islamic spiritual guides, public relations, sensitivity training. As far as products, this is kind of funny, lipstick. So the Department of Defense actually bought lipstick for the School of Infantry because there was a client of mine who sold lipstick that was in the different colors of camouflage, that had sun protectant, moisturizing, non-clog pouring, like had all these different things. So they bought about $1 million worth of lipstick from her. I mean, who knew? Bullfrogs. Bullfrogs are oftentimes used for abatement issues with these little gnat thingies that kind of go a little haywire when there's an open construction. So they use bullfrogs to take care of the little gnats. Animal food, board games, fish sticks. So you name it, the federal government buys it. The federal certifications, these are what the federal government is going to recognize. And again, there's going to be some similarities, but these are completely separate certifications, completely separate applications. You have your small business, you have your woman-owned small business, WOSB, you have your EDWOSB, economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, you have your veteran-owned small business, VOSB, and you have your SDVOSB, service disabled veteran-owned small business, the most popular 8A, and then you have the Hub Zone, which is not affiliated whatsoever with the state of Texas's Hub program. So I think government agencies, like I think they get together and they're like, all right, let's try to make this really confusing. We're going to have a hub, and then we're going to have a hub zone. Like, for example, in California, we have a CUCP that issues the DBE and a CPUC that issues a WBE, MBE, WMBE, but it's not the same DBE as with SCG&E. So really? Now, I understood what I was saying, but for many of you, you're like, I don't even know what you're just talking about. Don't stress. When you identify your buyer, when you identify your target market, all of that's going to come into play. It's going to make more sense. The federal process is, it's a doozy. And the number one reason why it's a doozy is because these systems are constantly crashing. In the last 18 months, the federal government has decided to merge a bunch of systems. And whenever there's a merge, there's crashes. And then one system doesn't talk to the other system, so you can't move forward until you go back to the other system. So it all starts out with your DUNS number and your DUNS profile. This is free. Do not pay DUNS for their service. You don't need it. All you need is the DUNS number, and it's a different portal than if you go to just DUNS.com. The information in DUNS has to be correct because it's going to feed the SAM, System for Award Management. That's the primary portal for federal government. Once you've created your SAM, you then can create your account in the appropriate certification portal. So for WOSB for the woman-owned, it's beta.certified.gov. For the veteran-owned, it's going to be VetBiz. For the 8A, it's certified.sba.gov, which is not the same as beta.certified.sba.gov. And then HubZone's got its own GLS login system. So you're talking 4-5 different portals that all stem from the SAM. Once you register in SAM and you get your cage code, you want to complete the profile, gathering the documents, which is really the hardest part. Complete the online application, upload the documents, and then you know what, just wait. Be patient. These things do definitely take time. So again, documents. For those of you who are a DBE, you already have many of these documents, so it's going to be a little easier for you. But with the federal government, when you upload documents, they want it saved with a certain name. And if you don't have the document, you have to supply a letter of explanation. So just to give you an example of the documents for, say, the 8A. This is all the documents that will need to be required in order for you to apply for the 8A. Pretty overwhelming. But again, don't stress. You know, there are a number of resources that can help you with this. The hardest part about federal contracting is correctly completing the SAM registration. And it's not because you can't do this. It's just because if you forget one letter in your street name, it's going to kick you back. If your information in DUNS is wrong, it's going to kick you back. If your information you entered is different from what's filed with the Secretary of State, it's going to kick you back. So that's kind of the hardest part. Literally, you know, our organization, your local PTAX, can help you through this process as painlessly as possible. Get that help. Don't do it on your own. You have more important things to do, like marketing to your buyers. Another area is gathering the supporting documents. It's usually the hardest part because in my experience as a small business as well, sometimes organization and document management is not really our strength. So gathering the supporting documents. Most documents that we find to be incomplete are going to be your legal entity requirements, like your meeting minutes, your statement of information, your bylaws, making sure that they're signed. I mean, all of these little nitpicky things. That's one of the reasons or the guidelines like an advisor like myself is here to help you with, is to be that first line of defense. Make sure that your documents meet their criteria, and they're all different, because why would they make it the same, right? For example, even though you electronically signed your taxes, the analyst wants to see your actual signature on your tax records. You'd never know that unless someone told you. Another thing is the personal net worth statement for those certifications that need that, making sure that that's filled out correctly, and really just being patient with the process. But above and beyond the certifications, as I mentioned earlier, no certification is going to guarantee you work. If there's one thing I can guarantee that you need to do more of, is marketing. There are 3 levels of marketing: name recognition, open dialogue, and then revenues. The certification is only a small piece of it. These agencies and these prime contractors, they want to work with you, but they can't. And the only reason why they can't is because they don't know you exist. And they certainly don't trust that you can perform. How do we do that? Through your marketing efforts. So some final thoughts. Please, there are resources out there that will help you at no cost. These certifications are at no cost to you. The cost is time, when I know time is money. And the only other component is maybe if there's an affidavit that needs to be notarized. You can pay someone to help you with these certifications. It's going to run you anywhere from $4,000 to $10,000. As much as I would love to take your $4,000 or $10,000 and buy a couple pairs of Louis Vuittons, I just can't do it ethically, because we can help you. These sources here will help you for free at no cost. So please don't do it alone. You have more important things to do, like run your company, market your company. That's something that we can't do for you. But when you're looking at certifications, when you're looking at getting registered, when you're looking at doing these technical pieces, proposal writing, helping you with your capability statement, don't go it alone. My name is Cheryl Brown. I am a program advisor here in sunny California. Austin is one of my favorite places in the country. Can't wait to be there. I'm going to be there in February, so I might have to stop by and say hello. But please do feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, if I can help you in any way. Even though I am in California, we're no longer restricted by demographics. That's maybe one benefit of the pandemic, is I can Zoom you up with Zoom and walk you through the whole process. Heck, all you need to do is actually give me all the supporting documents. I'll do the applications for you, because that's why they pay me. So thank you so much. Looking forward, I'll be staying on, looking forward to getting some questions and all that good stuff. And back to you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. Tremendous presentation. You'll be part of our agenda later on in some of our other sessions, and we're looking forward to that. What practical advice you give, I really appreciate that, and we're looking forward to seeing you. Our next presenter, Lynn Hoddy, is the Director of Hub Outreach and Training with the Texas Department of Information Resources. At DIR, she is responsible for Hub compliance and coordination, outreach, and training for DIR customers and vendors. She has over 22 years of state service, including work with the General Land Office, the Texas Building and Procurement Commission, the Department of Agriculture, the Comptroller, and the UT Austin campus and UT system, and of course Texas A&M. Lynn, a wealth of background and experience. Thank you so much for being with us. The screen is yours.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us today to participate. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so I hope you guys can see that. We're going to talk about DIR and the fact that we are the IT agency for the state of Texas. So everything that we do at DIR, so for all of you IT vendors out there today, is IT related. That's all we do. We implement and manage all IT-related contracts for the state of Texas. So those are for our customers to use so that they can rapidly procure the services and products that they need. So let's see if I can, there we go. Now we're in the view I like to see, and that's me. And actually I've been around and have 25 years. Oh my gosh, we looked at the calendar, but I'm not old enough to retire. So I'm going to be around a long time. And I was fortunate enough to work with some of the good folks on this call today. I've worked with Hopeton. I grew up with Tiffany, literally in the UT Austin office under Annette Smith. So we're in great company today, guys. But back to DIR. This is just a high level of what we do here at DIR. If any of y'all have ever heard of the Department of Information Resources before, if any of y'all have ever gone up to any of our customers and said, I sell IT products or services, they've probably asked you, do you have a DIR contract? Are you on the DIR? And what they probably were trying to refer to was our cooperative contracts program. It's one of our bigger programs here at DIR. And when people think of DIR, that's the program that they think of the most. We also have our shared technology services program area. And that was formerly known as our DCS program. It now encompasses our Texas.gov, DCS, print mail, security related services, all encompass numerous offerings under that shared technology services program and blanket area. And then we also have our statewide data program. So if any of y'all have looked up any information on data.texas.gov, there's numerous facts and tips and just all kinds of data that maybe you didn't even think you needed to look for posted there on data.texas.gov. That's one of our program areas. And we house all kinds of information that is open data and then some closed data as well. And then we also have texas.gov that I mentioned probably before. And if any of y'all have ever renewed your driver's license online, if any of y'all have ever ordered a birth certificate online, you've done that through the texas.gov program. Then we have our technology planning and policy programs and our communication technology services office, and then our information security office as well. So this is just a high level of some of our programs here at DIR. But again, when we talk about DIR, the majority of the time, people are referring back to our cooperative contracts program. Those are contracts that are set up for our customers to utilize to procure those commodity and service IT related needs that they may have. So this is a higher level of what some of those categories are for our cooperative contracts program areas and contract areas. Obviously, we have hardware, software, technology training, technology services, IT staffing, DBITs, our deliverable-based IT services, our bulk purchase agreements we also have under our cooperative contracts program. And then we also do our statement of work and exemption reviews through our cooperative contracts program. So just to give you an idea of some of the commodity related items that we have on our cooperative contracts, again, I mentioned hardware. Obviously, we've got computers, we've got laptops. I mentioned the bulk purchase agreements. Annually, we will poll our customers to see what types of needs they may have, to see if we have 2 or more customer agencies that have a need for a similar product or service. If they do, we will go ahead and do a bulk purchase agreement for those products typically. And we will put that out there then for all of our customers to utilize. So we typically will do some for computers and laptops. So when the pandemic broke out and everybody went on lockdown, in school districts and counties and cities were all trying to rapidly go from working in an office environment to working remotely, they were able to use our bulk purchase agreements to procure those laptops that they needed for their employees. So that kind of gives you an idea of some of those products that we use. But this is just a small sampling of some of the items that we offer through our cooperative contracts program. And then this is a list of some of our services that are offered through our cooperative contracts program as well. I mentioned IT staffing services, our ITSAC contracts. We bid those out and awarded those contracts last year. So if you have worked for a company, if you own a company that provides any type of staffing services or resources, it's not too late. We have contracts in place, and you can reach out to those contract holders to discuss subcontracting opportunities with them in regards to that contract. And then another one of our big services related contracts is our deliverable-based IT services, our DBITS contracts. We are in the midst of evaluating those responses, and we are going to probably within the next week or two start awarding those DBITS related contracts. And I mention those two specifically because those are the two contract areas where we have vendors who will add on subcontractors more frequently. So those contracts are being utilized by our customers throughout the state and throughout the United States. We have agreements with different entities across the United States who utilize our contracts as well. So when they are in need of additional subcontractors or resources, they are actively seeking subcontractors. So I point that out simply because those are two of our popular areas and two of our most consumed service-related contracts. And then for IT services, these are some of the categories underneath those contracts. So when you respond to a RFO, a request for offer that DIR has posted, you can see that here under IT staffing, we had numerous categories. When you respond to an RFO, something that is unique about DIR, you don't have to respond offering all of these service categories. If all you want to, or if all your company does is web development, probably that's not all you do, but if that's all you want to respond to that RFO with, providing web development services, you can do that. You don't have to offer all of these services to be awarded a contract. You have to respond and provide all of the information. You have to pass all the checks and make it through the evaluation phase to make it to the negotiation phase, but you can be awarded a contract and you don't have to respond to those RFOs offering all of those services that are included under that RFO or all of those products that are included. So that is something else that is very unique about DIR. We kind of throw a whole barrel of products or services out there, and then those vendors that are in those categories can respond telling us what products and services they can provide, and we award contracts accordingly. And then our deliverable-based IT services contracts, our DBITS contracts, here is a snapshot of those categories that we have on our current contracts. And like I said, we are in the middle of evaluating and getting ready to negotiate and award those new DBITS contracts. So this is going to change just a little bit. But again, if you see those RFOs, you can respond offering only one or two or half of these services if that's what your company provides. You don't have to provide all of these services to be awarded a contract. And then we're going to go into our shared technology services side of the house. So this is a really high level of our program. We have a multi-sourcing services integrator, which is Capgemini, that runs and handles or manages our vendors underneath our shared technology services program. So like I mentioned before, we have our DCS, our data center services, which includes our Texas private cloud, our public cloud manager, mainframe services, technology solution services, and our print, mail, and digitization. And then we have our Texas.gov program, and we have our constituent payment portal and our Texas by Texas digital assistant, and then our identity solutions, which are offered under that service as well. And then we have our managed security services, which includes device monitoring, incident response assessments, and our open data portal that I mentioned earlier. And you see at the top of this slide, all of our eligible customers who have the ability to utilize these services, and they can sign up for any one or multiple of these service offerings that we have. We have different vendors who have gone through the procurement process and have responded to an RFO and have been awarded a contract offering these different related services. So if you are an IT company, or maybe you're a shipping company, maybe you're an office products company, if you think you can add value or subcontract for one of these prime contracted vendors who hold these contracts, you can find their information on our website, and you can reach out to them about partnering with them and becoming a subcontractor with them at any time. Our vendors can update their HSPs, their hub subcontracting plans at any time, and they do. And they can add you as a subcontractor until we get around to rebidding those procurement opportunities. And typically, most of our contracts are in place for about 4 years. This is our communications, telecom related contracts. So if any of y'all have ever contacted anybody in the pink building in downtown Austin during legislative season, we run those telephone systems. You're welcome. So we're in charge of the Capitol Complex telephone system, the Texas Agency Network, or Texan. We are also in the middle of awarding new Texan contracts. So we just awarded, I believe, 6 or 7 Texan contracts at our last board meeting at the end of October. And we have roughly 16 to 20 new contracts we're going to be awarding in the next couple of months. But all of those are different program areas with different offerings that maybe your company can provide some subcontracting opportunities for and to under these different program areas. So under our telecommunications and other telecom services offerings, we have wireless services, conferencing services, and then we also have managed services. So you can see the different offerings that we have under these contracts as well. Any of y'all have noticed we have pagers still out here. And yes, people still need pagers in secure lockdown areas. They're not allowed to take in cell phones. They are allowed to take pagers. So we have those on contracts. And again, we have contract holders who have competitively responded to these RFOs. They've gone through that evaluation and negotiation process and have been awarded contracts for these services. And then this is a list of our eligible customers. So we have Texas state agencies who are mandatory customers. They're required by law to utilize our contracts up to a certain dollar threshold. Previously, that was $5 million. That's been changed to $10 million. If an agency now wants to use our contracts up through $10 million, they can. We also have institutions of higher education. They are voluntary customers. So all of the universities throughout the state of Texas are eligible customers, and they all use our contracts because it saves them time and money. Every now and then UT Austin will put into place some contracts, and then they'll wait it out and then decide to use ours instead of theirs because it costs too much money to run their own contracts. And I can say that I worked there and they're my friends. We also have local governments, cities, counties, local municipalities, junior college districts, special purpose districts, and then assistance organizations. ERCOT is an eligible customer, LCRA, private schools, private higher ed, volunteer fire departments, public safety entities and hospitals. And like I mentioned earlier, public entities outside of Texas are eligible customers. They do have to sign an agreement with DIR, accepting our terms and conditions. And we have numerous entities, some of them entire states, like the state of Arkansas, the state of Oklahoma. We have several cities and several school districts in the state of California, in Alaska, in New York, but throughout the United States that choose to utilize our contracts. And how we have connected with these entities has typically been through our contract holders. They are out there promoting and selling those contracts, and they come across these potential customers who want to utilize our contracts. So they actually bring those entities to us, they sign an agreement, and then they are able to utilize our contracts. So how do we competitively bid out? How do we award our contracts? How do you get to become a part of this whole process? We award all of our DIR contracts in accordance with statute set forth by the Texas legislature. We post all of our bid opportunities, all of our RFOs. You've heard me say that a couple of times tonight, on the electronic state business daily. And we post those typically for a minimum of 30 days. Most of those get extended, so they might be out there for maybe around 40 or 45 days. So there's plenty of time for you to find that RFO, find those documents, and respond to those bids. We have pre-bids that you can attend all virtually now, so you don't even have to travel outside of your office or outside of your comfortable home, if that's where you operate out of, to attend those. And again, something that is unique about DIR, when we award contracts for these cooperative contracts that we procure, we do multiple awards. So you heard me mention the Texan contracts. We've already awarded 7 or 8 contracts. We're going to award maybe almost 20 more. That's roughly 30 contracts, all under the same service offerings for those Texan related contracts. So we have choices for our customers. So we do multiple awards. And I also mentioned you can respond to those RFOs and not provide all of those services or products that are listed and included in that RFO. So keep that in mind. Don't self-eliminate. Don't think that it's too big and not respond to that, because again, typically these RFOs roll around once every 4 years. And most of our contracts are out there for a 4-year period, and we reprocure about every 4 years. We have recently updated our website. So if you've never looked at DIR's website before, it won't be new to you. It'll be pretty easy to use. If you are used to using our old website, it's a little new, it's a little fresh, and it's a little easier to find items here. But if you want to sell through DIR, you can go to our main website, which is dir.texas.gov, and under IT solutions and services and categories, on the right, you see selling through DIR. If you click on that option, it'll bring up doing business with DIR. And if you scroll down, there's an option for schedule of solicitation opportunities there in the middle. There's also an option doing business with DIR, and there's also a hub program option. I would suggest that you click on all of those, but the most important is that schedule of solicitation opportunities. Click on that, and you'll want to bookmark that page, because that is where we post everything that we have going on. And we just approved our FY 2022 procurement opportunities at our board meeting at the end of October. So those are all now posted on this page. And so everything that we are going to procure throughout this fiscal year is posted on that schedule of solicitation opportunities page, and it is all now listed in the planning phase. So some of the opportunities that we're going to have coming up this fiscal year, we have an event planner that we are going to be procuring. We have IBM, Panasonic, and Fujitsu branded products and services, cloud services, Motorola branded products and services, Cisco branded products and related services, the Texas.gov payment services RFO will be posted. And so we have several opportunities that are coming up. And if you would have checked on this page several years ago, maybe we had 3 or 4 procurements a year. We now are running 20 plus, 30 plus large procurements a year for multiple contract awards per year. So there are plenty of opportunities for vendors to become a part of our contracting opportunities. So you can follow these solicitations all the way through from the planning phase, through the posting phase, evaluation phase, negotiation, and then on through awards. So you can see where they are throughout that life cycle. And let's say you missed an opportunity, something was posted, and now we're currently evaluating it, like the DBITS RFO, it's still not too late. You can still reach out to those respondents and become a part of maybe their awarded contract as a subcontractor. So there are numerous ways to become a part and be included on a DIR contract. We have hub goals attached to everything that we do at DIR. 99.99% of what we do falls under the other services and commodities related categories as far as the hub program is concerned. Every now and then we do have some procurements for professional related or professional services and special trade. And then we've included some links here. Maya went over these earlier and I've touched on some of these, but these are just, bookmark these links because this is where we're posting information. This is where we are looking for vendors when we are soliciting for our RFOs. All of our RFOs have NIGP commodity codes attached to those, and we are going to the CMBL and pulling those vendors and notifying them that we have a procurement opportunity that has been posted. I've also included the coordinator contact list and hub reports and EOF calendar. Once you have a contract with DIR, that does not guarantee you sales. That guarantees you a license to hunt, so to speak. Because we have numerous contracts out there for our customers to utilize, you have to then go and sell that contract to our eligible customers. So you have to be ready to promote yourself and promote your contract. When you're responding to our RFO, you will submit a marketing plan. So you have to be ready for that. But that's a really high level and a really fast level, because I know we're running out of time, of what we do here at DIR. We have built up our team at DIR. I have numerous resources for you to reach out to. So if you have any questions, our contact information is included here. If you have not heard a thing I have said tonight, and if you have not and cannot and will not remember a thing I tell you tonight, please remember that you can contact us at any time and we will walk you through this entire scenario again. It's our job and we like our job. So thank you very much, and I'll turn it back over to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn. And fortunately, we are videotaping this, so you wouldn't have to repeat it all. And these have been excellent presentations on the part of our presenters so far. Now we've coming down to our host institutions, and they also have a wealth of experience. Tiffany Dockery Gibson is the director of the UT Hub and SB Small Business Program. She has served as Hub Director for almost 5 years, as well as serving as the Office Interim Director. Ms. Gibson also worked as a subject matter expert for 6 UT component institutions related to Hub and small business. Tiffany has a BS in advertising from UT Austin and an MPA from Texas Southern. She also has several licenses and certifications, including one as a master compliance analyst. Tiffany, thank you for being patient, and the screen is yours.
Thank you, Jorge. Now let me see if I can share my screen. I have lots of screens going on. Nope, that's not it. Hold on.
We can see it, Tiffany. Oops.
You had it the last time there, Tiffany.
Yeah, and you're on mute now, Tiffany.
You're on mute. Okay.
Okay, we are seeing, and you just need to unmute yourself.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have like 3 different screens and I was like, why does that look like that? Okay, sorry about that, you guys. I usually have somebody driving while I talk. So I'm going to try to stumble through this and try to stumble through it quickly because I know we're past our time here. But again, I'm Tiffany Dockery Gibson. I'm the Hub and Small Business Director at the University of Texas at Austin. Thank you for having me this afternoon or this evening. Basically, UC Austin is a city within a city. We were founded in 1883. We rank among the 40 best universities in the world. Of course, we're here for the excellence in education and research. That is our mission. We support over 51,000 students, 3,400 faculty, and over 24,000 employees. With top national programs across 18 colleges and schools, the university contributes approximately $7.4 billion to the Texas economy through research, creative activity, scholarly inquiry, commercialization, and the consumption of goods and services across the state. We also attract about $650 million annually for discovery through our sponsored research projects. A little bit about the Hub program and how we're organized. We are part of the central procurement area at the University of Texas at Austin. Our title is Procurement and Payment Services. We're a function of that office. We, along with our partners in the central purchasing office in business contracts, as well as payment services, all share a mission to strategically address sourcing, contracting, and payment needs while safeguarding for the highest level of qualified and diverse supplier performance. That is where you, the suppliers, come in. Real quickly, I just want to share some tips that I usually share with all of our Hub businesses that are trying to do business with us. We want to be your center of connection for doing business with the University of Texas at Austin. First, we ask that you do your homework. I heard someone earlier talk about, researching and going through some Hub reports and other reports to see exactly what that supplier or that company you're trying to do business with spends. We spend a significant amount on construction, but we also spend a lot on IT, as Lynn was talking about earlier. Sometimes we will issue our own IT solicitations, but we also purchase off of the DIR solicitations. So definitely do your homework, understand your customer, who you're trying to sell to, understand what their buying needs are. You can always monitor our current bid listings. My next slide has a link to our current bid listings. We have a supplier portal where we list information about our current bids that we have out. We also participate in outreach events throughout the state. We host our own outreach events where we can connect you with key personnel at the University of Texas at Austin. So we encourage you to definitely monitor those things and to keep up with exactly what we are purchasing here at the University of Texas at Austin. Introduce your business. Definitely reach out to our office. Talk to us about what you want to sell, what you do. Let us know what you do. We ask that you bring to the table a capability statement. I heard Cheryl earlier talking about the resources from SBDC and other areas that'll help you to develop capability statements, but definitely make sure that you have your marketing profile and you're able to bring that information to the university when you're trying to sell goods and services to the university. Definitely get certified. Like I said, we are a state of Texas institution, so we honor the Hub certification, but we also have a federal small business program. I am also the small business liaison officer. I saw one of the questions in the chat was, how do you connect with some of the prime contractors to the federal government? We are actually a prime contractor to the federal government. So definitely you can use, again, our office as a resource if you're interested in some of the research that we do here at the University of Texas at Austin. And lastly, like I said, state your interest. I alluded to, making sure you have a capabilities statement and everything, but definitely when you contact our office, you want to let us know exactly what you want to do, how you want to be connected to the university. Is it for some of our federal contracts? Is it for some of our state contracts? What area would be best where you can connect with us. We definitely want to know how you can help and partner to help us in our mission for educational excellence. Let's see. Yep. So my presentation was very, very short. Like I said, I wanted to just give an introduction of the University of Texas at Austin and our Procurement and Payment Services program and the Hub program. But definitely, I will share this presentation so that you will have a link to our website, which is hubsb.utexas.edu. Again, we have a vendor portal on that website that will connect you to all of the opportunities across our construction division, our goods and services. We also have a renovation division that posts information there to our vendor portal. And again, we also list all of our upcoming events that we're hosting, as well as events that we are participating in, so that we can connect you with those opportunities, those sourcing opportunities on our campus. And then we have our general email address, hub@austin.utexas.edu, that you can always reach out to if you have questions about doing business with the university. And that is all I have to share. I like to have a Q&A, so hopefully we can have a little bit of that as we wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany. And don't forget, we have the chat, and if there are some questions for you, maybe our participants will send them to you, and they can be answered. But thank you for this presentation and for your service to the university. Our next presenter is Hopeton Hay. He's the Executive Director of the UT System Office of Hub Programs. He's led the office since 2012, where he manages hub opportunities, compliance, and outreach, including major construction projects that are led by the UT System Office of Capital Projects. He has over 30 years experience working in programs to support small, minority, women, and small veteran disabled businesses in Texas. He has numerous awards for his initiatives and leadership from organizations such as the National Minority Contractors Association, the Houston chapter, and from the Houston and San Antonio SBA districts. Hopeton is, I would consider him the dean of hub directors, and we always save the best for last. Thank you, Hopeton, for being here.
And thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to this group. I'm real excited about the opportunities that UT Austin's IC Square Institute and Travis County are sponsoring to provide education and training to hub firms. And I'm a big believer in educating, and no matter where you are with your business, the education in terms of being able to compete in an ever-changing marketplace is very, very important. Also, it's great to be on board here with several of my hub coordinator colleagues. I have worked with all the hub coordinators on this call for many, many years. We all love working together, and it's really great to be among such a distinguished group of hub coordinators here. So I want to make it clear, Jorge said I've been doing this for 30 plus years, but I did start in elementary school, so I think that needs to be clear. And I've been told that you can't see my gray on the camera, so my hair is all black if there are any questions about it. Okay, I don't hear any laughing. Where's the laughing here?
I muted myself.
So let me tell you a little bit more about who we are. Let me go ahead from the beginning. There we go. And let me do, let's see, okay, there we go. Now I got my stuff set up here. Let me make sure I am sharing the screen. Wait a minute. I think I'm gonna have to go to share screen first. There we go. Okay, can everybody see that PowerPoint there?
Yes, it's showing.
All right. Okay, where did it go? Okay, there we go. All right. So, University of Texas System is made up of 13 institutions with an enrollment of more than 243,000 students. and an operating budget of $23.4 billion for fiscal year 2022, and our fiscal year ends August 31st, 2022. But one of the most important things I want to emphasize is each institution has its own budget and procurement team, as does the University of Texas System Administration. When it comes to some of the things that our institutions are doing, I put together this little chart of what these institutions are buying on their own. I've also highlighted all the institutions that are doing their own major capital programs. The University of Texas System defines major capital construction as projects that have a value of $10 million or more. The unhighlighted institutions, we manage their major capital projects. So that would include, for example, UT System Administration, where we built the building that we're in right here in downtown Austin. That's 19 stories. University of Texas at El Paso, UT Dallas, UT Permian Basin, UT Tyler, UT Rio Grande Valley. But all the other institutions do manage their own major capital programs, and I'm going to encourage you to take advantage of all those different institutions and the opportunities that they have for you to propose, submit qualifications, proposals, or bids directly with them, as my colleague Tiffany Dockery Gibson recently presented on behalf of UT Austin. So what does UT System Administration itself buys? If you look at a breakout of their FY 2020 expenditures, almost $80 million of our purchases were on the other services. And frankly, most of that, the majority of that spend was to purchase of property insurance for all of our institutions. That was roughly $36 million. Also buying Oracle licenses for all of our institutions. That was roughly $8 or $10 million. So if you look at that $79 million, the majority of that spend was with two vendors. So there is some purchasing that UT System does on behalf of our institutions on a system-wide basis. Property insurance, Oracle licenses as example. If you look at our building construction spend of $74 million in FY 2020, that represents the building construction on those campuses that were mentioned in the previous PowerPoint slide we had here. That's the major capital projects at UT El Paso, UT Permian Basin, UT Rio Grande Valley in South Texas, UT Dallas, and UT El Paso. So once again, and UT Tyler. So we're representing those institutions on their major capital project, and that's where that $74 million of spend came from. On a professional service side, most of that spend is either on the accounting services that we purchase or on the architectural and engineering services that we get qualifications for and that we do. On the auditing and accounting side, we do have a system-wide audit contracts currently with Deloitte and Tush, or I guess Deloitte, used to be Deloitte Haskins and Sales, but Deloitte has that contract for us. And then on the special trade construction, most of that is actually spent on behalf of UT System Administration in terms of the type of work we do, the renovation and other work in terms of managing and providing support for the UT System on it buildings here in Austin. And on the commodity purchasing side, we had about $11 million of purchasing on the commodity side in FY 2020.
Hopeton, I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think that you are in a presentation mode. Would you be able to make sure that you are in presentation mode?
Sure. Swap presentation view and slideshow. Let's see. Did I change it?
No, not yet.
Okay.
You should be like on the slide 5.
Right. Okay, I may have to do, let's see. All right. Is it changing now?
No, it's not. I'm wondering if you may have it open.
Hey, Hopeton, if you click on your bottom right, you should see right next to where you see it makes the adjustment on the size of the screen. It looks like a little hourglass. The icon to the furthest right, click on that.
Yeah, I don't
That'll take you
see
to
that on the screen. Hold on here. Let's see, how's that now?
It's still the same.
Is it showing who we are?
Yeah, doing business with UT system. The first slide.
Still on the first slide?
Yeah, you haven't been able to scroll down.
Interesting. All right, I think I'm gonna go out of presentation mode and do this the old fashioned way. Okay, what's showing on the screen now?
It's still the same first slide.
Okay, this one, hold on here. Maybe I'm presenting from the wrong page here. Hold on here. Let's see.
There you go. You moved it. Third slide.
Okay, so it's good now.
Yeah, well, try it one more and we'll see.
All right, let me see if I. All right, this is still the third slide, the UT
Third slide.
All right, let's see. Is it moving now?
No.
Okay, let me go back to the old-fashioned way. Third slide now.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, fourth slide.
Not yet.
Okay, this one. All right, well, I'm gonna go through the presentation because I can't figure this out. I
You
apologize.
may need to take it out of screen share and then start screen share again. That may make a difference.
All right, let me try that. I've done these a million times and this, oh, it's saying your screen sharing is paused. All right, I stopped and let me try one more time.
Now I see you, but you're with gray hair now. I didn't realize you had that much gray hair.
All right, well, I'm gonna start shaving my hair now. So let me try one more time here. There we go. Okay, can you see the screen now? Is it the third slide?
Third slide.
All right. Fourth slide.
Fourth slide, yeah.
All right,
now you're rolling.
So I'm gonna go the old-fashioned way without going into presentation mode since I finally got it working. Okay, so as I said before, if you see the slide here, that's a pie chart of where our expenditures are. The majority of our expenditures, almost the majority of our expenditures is in the other services category. So one of the things when you look at the purchasing of UT system administration, we do some system-wide purchasing, which are some big spending opportunities. And then we do our own purchasing for the use of the UT system administration staff, where we roughly have about 400 to 450 people working directly from UT system. And if you look here, building construction, $74 million, and that represents the major capital projects that we're managing on behalf of those institutions that aren't managing their own capital projects. So what are we buying? We buy furniture, we buy signage, we buy IT equipment, safety equipment, special trades. We're buying electrical services, painting, roofing, plumbing, facilities and ground maintenance, other services, promotional, marketing, IT development, but architectural engineering services, and as I stated before, CPA and accounting services. So we buy a wide variety of products and services. But the vast majority of our spend, if you just look at spend, it's going to be on the system-wide purchases that we're doing on behalf of our institutions. So what is our purchasing process? Well, we have informal bids with a purchase value of $15,000 to $50,000. We have an invitation of bids for purchase values greater than $50,000. We do requests for proposals for purchase values greater than $50,000. And for professional services, we are required to do a request for qualifications. So departments can solicit quotations from suppliers for purchases up to $50,000. purchases with a value beyond $50,000 are actually managed by the Office of Contracts and Procurement. We also have system-wide contracts and agreements that are managed by UT System through the Supply Chain Alliance. For goods and services that are under $15,000, informal bidding is not required. We can solicit quotes or proposals for goods and services from vendors. We can get one quote and purchase orders can be issued to those vendors. We also use ProCard to buy products and services below $5,000, but we can't buy all types of products and services. There are some limitations of what we can use our ProCard service for. We also, and we're going to share this PowerPoint with IC Squared Institute, and so you can actually go in and look at our different, get contact information for each of the offices for UT System. For goods and services, as I said earlier, between $15,000 or $50,000, we have to get 3 written bids, of which 2 must be hubs. Departments also must make a good faith effort to include bids from certified hub suppliers, and all bids must be forwarded to contracts and procurement to create a requisition in the PeopleSoft system, and contracts and procurement issues POs to winning vendors. For goods and services exceeding $50,000, it does require a formal bidding process, and all those are managed by our contracts and procurement office. The one thing I would strongly recommend is we're using Bonfire for notification about those opportunities. And so we have a hot link here that'll be on the slides that we send to IC Squared Institute, where you can go sign up with Bonfire and you'll be automatically notified about the opportunities that you select. We also do publish, like state agencies do, our solicitations on the Electronic State Business Daily website, and our agency number is 720. We have an in-house group purchasing organization called the UT System Supply Chain Alliance. And basically, we have representatives from all the UT institutions, typically the chief purchasing officer, and they get together and decide where does it make sense to group our purchasing power to buy products or services that would be utilized across the system by our institutions. And some of those things that we're purchasing on a system-wide basis through the Supply Chain Alliance includes office supplies, computers, computer peripherals, and temp services. And that's just a few of the many different things that we're buying on a system-wide basis. And to be frank, I listed those particular agreements because all those contracts have hub participation or hubs who we can actually purchase these products or services through. We do have some upcoming RFQs and RFPs that I wanted to make you aware of. Our Office of General Counsel has some claims collection RFP coming up. Our Office of Employee Benefits just posted a life and accidental death and dismemberment insurance RFP that was posted Monday. We have insurance broker opportunities that are going to be posted later on this week for our rolling owner controlled insurance program. We also expect that we're going to have public relations and media relations opportunities that are going to be posted either later on this fall or in the winter or early spring. We also will have international multi-state tax services that will be posted. And we also will have an external audits, and I talked about that specifically for the firm that will be auditing UT System institutions that is going to be posting in January. We also, if you go to utsystem.edu/hub, we do have a vendor information form that we ask you to fill out. It's not a requirement, but it's how we track the hub vendors that are interested in doing business with the University of Texas System. And Kyle Hayes is the contact for more information on all those opportunities that are coming through our contracts and procurement department. So one of the things we are engaged in is bringing out UT System institutions, to talk about upcoming hub opportunities. And also we have some hub outreach we're doing for opportunities with UT system administration. So we started an event a couple of years ago called Hubs and Subs, and this was pre-COVID-19. And the thought was we would provide sub sandwiches and give hubs an opportunity to come out and meet our departments on a face-to-face basis. But of course, with COVID-19, that has changed. So we're relaunching that in February of 2022, except this will be a virtual hubs. I don't think there are any virtual subs that we can provide to you, but it'll give you an opportunity to meet department representatives to find out about what kind of opportunities they have coming up and how to do business with them directly. In addition to that, we did launch last year and this year. Last year, we launched in December of 2021 a system-wide construction opportunities outreach event where we had practically all of our institutions make presentations on how to do business with them in the construction arena. And that's both construction opportunities and professional services associated with those construction opportunities. We also launched earlier this year, and we'll be doing again in spring of 2022, a system-wide hub outreach event where we'll talk about how to do business with all of our institutions, looking specifically at goods and services. And the last thing that we have launched this year is we put together a hub contractor guide to make it easier for hub subcontractors that want to do business with UT system institutions, especially those where we manage the major capital projects. But we also, this is a guide that people like UT Austin and MD Anderson Cancer Center are using or developing their own version of it, but to help to facilitate your better understanding of how to do business on a construction projects. And we created a training workshop about how to use the guide and to answer your questions on that. And we'll also be doing that again in partnership with UT Austin, UT San Antonio, and UT Health San Antonio sometime in 2022. So what are some of the things you need to look at before seeking opportunities with UT System? As I said earlier, we're both centralized and we are decentralized when it comes to purchasing. There's some things that we're purchasing on a system-wide basis. There's some things that institutions are managing themselves in terms of opportunities to sell goods and services to them. And here at UT System Administration, especially on those small opportunities, the individual departments are driving those opportunities for you to take advantage of. The second thing is there is some variation between campuses in terms of the procurement processes. So don't assume that everything is done exactly the same way at each institution. So you need to treat each UT institution and UT System Administration as individual customers. Number three, each campus has different needs. MD Anderson Cancer Center, which has reportable expenditures last fiscal year of roughly $1.7 billion. They have the number one or number two cancer hospital in the United States. And so their needs are going to be very different than, say, a UT Permian Basin in Odessa or a UT System Administration or UT Austin. So once again, when you're doing your homework to sell, whether it's to UT Austin or UT System or to other UT institutions, you really need to take a look at each of those campuses to find out what their unique needs are. Like everybody else, the University of Texas System uses the Centralized Master Business List / Hub database to look for hub vendors. So if you're not hub certified, it's like being part of the yellow pages for hub opportunities. So I strongly encourage you, if you're not hub certified, to become hub certified. But as one of our presenters said earlier, you do not have to be hub certified to bid or pursue opportunities with UT institutions or UT System Administration. Number five, currently most of our pre-proposal meetings are being held virtually. And so I would strongly encourage you to participate in those pre-proposal meetings. Even if you're not going to pursue that opportunity directly, it's a great way to get a sense for how we do business. Number six, the construction procurement for major capital construction projects is a different procurement process. Most of the major capital projects we're managing, those opportunities are being done through the construction manager at risk. construction delivery method, which means that typically when we hire the general contractor, they're not hiring the subcontractors or soliciting subcontractors to submit bids or proposals at that point in time. The solicitation of bids and proposals for subcontractors comes later. The benefit for those of you in construction is that you're not having to send your bids or proposals to 10 different general contractors. You know who the general contractor is, so you have time to prepare to send your bids and proposals to that specific one general contractor, as opposed to sending it to 10 or 11 different general contractors or proposals, general contractors. Also, the same thing, when it comes to, we do have a lot of RFQs and RFPs soliciting architectural teams. They typically do bring their team to the table. And so you want to make sure if you're in that space of providing mechanical engineering, structural engineering, civil engineering, and you specialize in working as part of a team for an architect on major capital projects, making sure you reach out to us to find out who are the architects that are going to be pursuing those opportunities. When we have our pre-submittal conferences, we do publish the list of everybody that attended the pre-submittal conferences. Also, when you do go into our database, because the opportunities on the construction side under our Office of Capital Projects are on, also those opportunities are on the Office of Capital Projects website. You can look at who has actually downloaded the document, so you can see who's looking at those opportunities. Once again, it's a great opportunity to identify who the primes are that are looking at those opportunities, so you can market directly to them. The last thing I would say is, you're going to be receiving so many opportunities being emailed to you. In those days, we would have said fax to you or mailed to you, but I'm sure it's mostly being emailed to you or coming to you through I². You really have to align your expertise and your experience and capacity with contracted opportunities that give you the best chance to win. And the last thing I'm going to add, and ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to the hub coordinator to ask questions. Don't be afraid to go to the procurement people to ask questions. This is hot links for CMBL, Electronic State Business Daily, which I'm sure Maya has on her PowerPoint. Our Office of Capital Projects, we have hot links there where you can find out about opportunities. You can also get information on state agency expenditure data, as Maya explained before, and also information on the NIGP commodity book, which is how you select which commodity or service that you provide and put the proper information in there. To find out more about UT system administration opportunities, you can go to our Office of Contracts and Procurement. We have their phone number there and their website. And here's my contact information. I would also strongly encourage you to go to the website for UT System Hub Office, because we also have contact information for all the hub coordinators for UT System institutions. And that's all I have. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Hopeton, and tremendous job. And I want to say Maya, Michael, Cheryl, Lynn, Tiffany, Hopeton, you all did a terrific job. This is highly informative, not only for our class participants here. We put this on videotape, which hopefully we will. You have given them a wealth of information, tremendous insight from all our presenters. Now, I'm going to turn it over to Emily for question and answers. If there's some queued up, I know we're running a little late, but there's always time for a few questions if we have them.
So we had a question at the beginning with regard to from Phil Walker, and I think that this was when Maya was talking with regards to when they are ready to connect with an agency, do they schedule an appointment with a coordinator to navigate the agency?
Absolutely. I think we've all talked about the research and the preparation, the business development plans that can be done before you contact the agencies. Make sure you know what those agencies provide. look into their mission statements, see what they're responsible for, look into their procurement schedules, see if there's anything that you can provide for them, look at the hub reports, do some of that research. We're available to assist anyone on a one-on-one basis to go through the hub reporting expenditures to find those agencies that they could most likely do business with. Then it's important to go to the hub coordinator list, contact that hub coordinator. They're the liaison into the agency. They can guide you, help you prepare to present yourself to the agency in the right way, connect you to the right people, put you in the right networking opportunities. And that would be your resource to start with those agencies. So absolutely, yes.
I'd like to add something that I failed to mention in my presentation. One is we're doing contract forecasting. So we're going to our major departments. We're asking them to let us know what RFPs, RFQs are going to be hitting the street, when they will be hitting the street, so we can better prepare you to pursue those opportunities. So that's something that we've been engaged in. And so we've met with our Office of Risk Management, we've met with our Office of Employee Benefits, we've met with our Controller's Office, we've met with our Office of Capital Projects. So, and the second thing is when you know that we buy your product or service, you want to know when does that contract come to an end? Because with some of the things we're buying, those contracts may last 5 years. And so what you want to do is make sure that you find out when that contract is going to end, so you can put it on your calendar maybe 6 months before it's going to end, so that you have an opportunity to follow up with the hub coordinator to make sure that it's still on schedule, so you can be prepared to pursue those opportunities.
I'll piggyback off of what Hopeton just said. Definitely, we are transitioning to a model where we're forecasting a lot more, where we're doing a lot more multiple awards. So definitely, yes, to answer your question, definitely want to contact the hub coordinator, particularly at UT Austin. You want to contact our office so that we can help you to navigate the system. It used to be a lot more open, where you might want to contact a particular department that you're seeking to do business with. But in this pandemic environment and just the security measures and things that have been going on, that is not as open as it used to be. So we really are your point of contact, and we want to be that resource for you. We want to kind of cut through some of the red tape and help you to navigate, find out where those opportunities are for your particular business.
Thank you. I have another question for Lynn. How often are ITSAC contracts awarded?
Oh, so our ITSAC contracts, we award those and go out for bid for those every 4 years. So we actually awarded those last, I believe we started awarding them last September through October. So we're in the first year of those. So in about 2.5 years, you're going to see those ITSAC RFOs fall into our planning phase of that schedule of solicitation opportunities page. And you will see that we'll start planning that procurement again. So we've just completed the first year of those. So we have 3 more years on that contract, but we actually start planning that procurement about 6 months in advance of those contracts ending.
And Lynn, a follow-up question for you is, how often are your vendor lists updated? And I think you did mention this in your presentation, but if you could just reiterate.
Sure. We do not have a vendor list. We don't have a sign up. We don't have a registration. We don't have anything like that. We have contracts. So our contracts are updated as they are awarded or as they expire. So you'll want to keep an eye out on that schedule of solicitation of opportunities page, so that you can see those procurements that are coming up that you can participate in. So we don't have any place where you can sign up for anything. You need to participate in an active procurement and go through that contracting process and be awarded a contract or be included as a subcontractor, a reseller on other contracts that are out there on our website.
Thank you. And I just want to mention that Cheryl was answering a few questions in the chat for folks who haven't had a chance to look at that, but she has provided some answers in regards to how to understand federal government data, or to access some data about what agencies are being awarded contracts. And I also believe that she answered some questions with regards to multi-state certification and explained that process in a bit more detail in that chat. Those were the majority of the questions. I just wanted to check in if there's anybody who'd like to come on to camera and ask a question to any of the presenters. Now would be a good time. And if not,
so if I can add something, if you'll let me add something to the minority business, they were asking about the state certifications. So those are trade organizations and women's business enterprise and minority business enterprise. They do certifications that are for different states. So I think we have one that does Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. And so they have their certification requirements there. It doesn't meet the hub requirements, so we don't certify for anybody outside of the state. We only certify for the state of Texas.
And I'd like to add to that, kind of mining for data to see where the sales are, to see who's buying what. At a state level, those hub reports that are published on the Comptroller's website annually and semi-annually will include information by object code for what entities are buying and who they're spending money with. You can also go to data.texas.gov and look at our sales information to see what customers are buying and what contracts they're using and the volume of sales that are flowing through those contracts. So last year, just to give you a marker, we had about $2.8 billion in sales that ran through our DIR contracts in 1 year. So a lot of data is out there. You just have to know where to go look for that. And then also on the LBB website for the state of Texas, I believe it's all contracts over $100,000, it may be even over $50,000 now, are posted to the LBB's website. So you can go in there and mine for that data as well. So those are active contracts that are out there. You can see who those have been awarded to, and those are potential subcontracting opportunities as well.
I see a question, Emily, here from Raghu Sivarama. Please forgive me for how I pronounce your name. Where can we find the list of prime vendors looking for subs? From a construction perspective, if you call us directly, we can tell you, for example, that Beck won the contract for a project we have at UT Dallas. It's the construction manager at risk. So they haven't started soliciting proposals yet. We also recently awarded a contract to Skanska for a project at UT Tyler, the medical education building. We have a project at UT El Paso that construction manager at risk contract was awarded to Sun. So the best thing to do from a state agency or UT system perspective is if you're looking for subcontracting opportunities with a prime vendor, is to contact that hub coordinator, and we can let you know what prime vendors have been awarded contracts that are looking for subcontractors.
At TxDOT, we have At TxDOT, we have all of our pre-qualified contractors, which to be a prime, you have to get pre-qualified, except for contracts under $300,000. So you can access a full list of those to contact. Unfortunately, the list used to be more detailed. It's currently really just basic contact information. So we do, after every monthly letting, and again, all awards are posted. We certainly recommend contacting them directly, kind of looking at historical bidders, and then trying to determine which ones actually subcontract for the types of work that you may do if you're interested in being a subcontractor.
I was just going to say, I was going to do another shameless plug for our vendor portal at the University of Texas at Austin. Definitely, you can go there and check and find out when we'll be having pre-bid meetings. That's also an opportunity to find out who's looking for subs for particular particular opportunities. I was just in another meeting where I was talking about, especially in this pandemic environment, we've seen such an increase in people participating in those pre-bids. And we did an RFQ a couple of months ago, and we had like 110 participants on that particular pre-bid conference. And many of those were bidding as prime, but a lot of those people who were there were looking for the subcontracting opportunities. In that particular project, we had a very high percentage of hub participation when it was all said and done, because of the number of people that connected through that particular pre-bid conference. So definitely like I said, check our website for those opportunities. Like I said, we try to highlight and list those opportunities individually, and then you can always link to find out when the pre-bid conference is, and make an effort, like I said, in this virtual environment to attend those pre-bids if you can.
Mr. Bryant, you had mentioned something about a set-aside program that may be forthcoming. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So, and this would primarily be for construction or maintenance projects. We've seen other states that have done a program, and part of the DBE program, we're required to have a DBE program plan that's approved by the Federal Highway Administration. And in that plan and in the Code of Federal Regulations that governs the program, there's a requirement for a small business element. We have used our small business enterprise programs as part of that element. And I just don't think it's effective in its current state. And so what we are hoping to do is working with other parts of TxDOT, work on increasing the amount of where you don't have to be pre-qualified. We would tell anybody that's interested in being a prime contractor to get pre-qualified, but raising that threshold which hasn't been raised from $300,000 in, I would argue, probably decades. And given the cost of material prices at the moment and all the other issues that are affecting all parts of our industry, it's important that we get that number raised. And that what we were hoping is that there are projects throughout the state that small business, certified and uncertified small businesses, that could compete against each other. And so Williams Brothers, based out of Houston, is one of our largest prime contractors. We don't want them competing against a company that may have revenues of less than $2 million, because Williams Brothers can lower their costs, because many of our projects are low bid. If a larger contractor can spread the cost throughout a variety of projects, thereby reducing the price of their bid. So we want small businesses to be able to compete against small businesses, and making sure that everyone has that equal opportunity to become a prime contractor if that's what they desire. And I think that's when we talk about subcontractors, they're more often dealing with the prime contractors than they would deal with TxDOT. And that's putting my lawyer on hat and talking about privy of contract and all that kind of stuff. And so if you become a prime contractor on a small level, you have the ability to work directly with TxDOT, directly with the people that are involved in all the other projects. And we think that provides an amount of access and knowledge transfer. And again, the ability to kind of control your own destiny as a contractor with TxDOT. So we're hopeful to get that up and going before the end of this fiscal year, but I don't know if that'll happen or not. So,
Great. Thank you.
We've reached 7 o'clock. I guess we're all might be a little weary because of the time change, but this has been such an enlightening type of conversation. We could go on all night. From my standpoint, you guys have done a tremendous job, and I really appreciated our audience, our presenters. Thank you all so much for your effort.
Thank
Emily,
you.
do you want to tell our participants a little about the homework assignment for tomorrow?
Sure. Just a reminder that Dr. Jarrett has sent an email with a value proposition exercise to complete. If you can submit that to the link that's in the instructions by tomorrow at 4:30, we'd appreciate it. And then we'll be running our workshop from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday evening. And just a reminder that our next session is on the 16th. We're going through small business finance, and you can stay connected on our Facebook group and our LinkedIn group, and we have our lookbook as well.
Thank you all, and good night. It's been
Thank
a
you for
great
having us.
night.
Night, everybody. Great job.
Thanks, everyone.